Oh, you make the best coffee. Thank God you're here because today we're going to be talking to you about all the things that we do in our day-to-day lives that are still super American. So even though we've been living in Denmark for 4 years now, there's a lot of things that are, well, old habits that we just can't kick. So we're going to talk to you about some of the top things we do that are still really American, and you should let us know what you think in the comments below.
And before we get started, we want to introduce ourselves if you're new to the channel. I'm Mike, he's Derek, we're the Road Trotting Guys, and we've been in Denmark since 2017. We moved here from Philly in the US, and we have videos about our life here in Denmark and our experiences as expats. So make sure that you subscribe and click the bell to get notified for when we have new videos drop on Thursdays and live streams on Tuesdays.
Now, before we get started, let's watch our legal disclosure for this week.
The following video is full of generalizations and broad statements that are purely meant for entertainment purposes only. Derek and Mike mean no offense to Americans, Danes, Starbucks, Jay-Z, or the IRS. Objection! Full offense to the IRS. If the following video upsets you in any way, please report to the nearest yoga channel and take a deep breath.
And one of the first things that we do that every American also does isn't a fun one, but it's paying taxes. Yes, I think Benjamin Franklin said nothing is certain in life except for death and taxes. And Americans have just really been into that since day one. And we're no different. We have to pay our taxes even though we don't live in the country or earn money in the country.
Now, although we're required to still pay taxes and file taxes as American citizens, one of the perks, I guess, of higher taxes in Denmark means that we actually get to deduct all of our Danish taxes. So we end up not really paying any American taxes on the money that we earn here in Denmark, though since we still have things like bank accounts in the US, we still have to file to pay that little bit of tax on that interest in our savings account every single year.
Oh, and something else that's very American that no Danes have, which is student loan debt. You get to deduct that in your taxes. So tax day in America is April 15th, so it just recently passed. And even though we usually don't have much of a tax burden, we still do have to file the form, which is actually a real pain, but every American does it. And did you know this? America and Eritrea are the only two countries in the world where you have to pay taxes on money that you earn in another country. So even though Americans hate paying taxes, they don't mind that people that move out of the country have to pay them. Thanks, Uncle Sam.
Now, the IRS leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth, so let's do something a heck of a lot sweeter than that. Sugary coffee. Americans love sugary coffee. Now, maybe not all of them, because I prefer my coffee black, but Derek loves dumping a whole bunch of sugar into his coffee, and in truth, we both are suckers for a good salted caramel latte.
That's right, and I carry around a Starbucks card in my wallet. In America, we have the app. I don't know why they don't use it over here, but I pretty much fill one of these up every week or two. We also love Espresso House. Basically anywhere that we can get a nice sugary coffee drink. I know that's uber American and Danes really love their coffee, but usually it's just an espresso or maybe an Americano, but flat white, you know, not necessarily the sugary drinks, but that's just the one American thing that I especially just can't kick. Now, one of the coolest things about living in Denmark as Americans is that we get to celebrate basically two sets of holidays. So we not only have all of the Danish holidays and extra celebrations like Midsummer, but we also have all of the American holidays that we are used to celebrating back home, like Thanksgiving. And it's really cool because we've even been able to bring some of our Danish friends into the celebration of some of these American traditions while we've been living in Denmark.
Yeah, it's been fun that we've been able to have parties for 4th of July and get to share with our Danish friends what a proper American 4th of July barbecue is like. And even for Thanksgiving, we kind of rebranded it as Taxgiving and got to share it with our Danish friends, and even in one case had some American friends over to celebrate with us. And one of the nice things for me is that since I work for an American company, we don't get the American holidays off here, but everyone in America does. So it's a nice quiet day at work.
Yeah, so holidays are super fun no matter what, and even though to some of our Danish friends, they're just kind of American theme parties, but it makes for a nice event for us because we get to celebrate 2 times the holidays.
Another American thing that we still do is play American-style drinking games. Now, Denmark and America have slightly different drinking cultures, but we still like to play some of the American games that we grew up with.
That's right, and Danes are used to playing dice or other kinds of games when they're drinking. You know, it's very common to play games while you're drinking, but Americans like to turn the game into a drinking game. So it's a little bit different, and it's something that we still like to do. So whether it's beer pong in red solo cups, we love that they actually sell sets of that at Flying Tia or Flying Tiger. It's just something that we really haven't grown out of, even though we live in Denmark now.
Yeah, and it's been fun actually get to share some of these American drinking games with our friends. You know, one of the fun ones that we're used to playing from back in our college days are some card games when you're sitting having a nice hygge night at home with friends. So playing games like Kings or Up the River are fun little things that we can introduce to our friends here.
And you see them a lot in movies, especially movies that take place in American colleges. So it's just kind of a curiosity, I think, for people to ask us, hey, do you know any of those like drinking games that we see in the movies? And of course we do. So we get right into it when we're asked to. So another thing that Americans do, it's pretty stereotypical, and I know that you guys know about it because you've mentioned it in the comments, is that we're loud. I wish there was a reason, but we really just can't help it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I know I'm loud in the office because when we changed to a different part of the building and we had to pick different offices to sit in, multiple people came up to say they didn't want to have an office next to mine because I was way too loud and they could hear me through the walls when I was on phone calls.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't move too far away, but
like you're quiet yourself.
That's true. But yeah, I wish that there was some kind of reason or some kind of explanation that we could give you. Like, it's just, you know, historically, we've just had a lot of space between houses in America and we had to yell to our neighbors. I don't know. We're just loud and we can't help it. But as Danes would say, that's just how we do things in America.
Now, another American habit that we just can't kick is taking a short city break weekend for a vacation. Now, you'd think that we would have changed this because we've gone from America, where we had only 2 or 3 weeks vacation, to Denmark, where we're mandated to have at least 5 weeks and actually get some more than that. But still, we can't help ourselves. Sometimes it's just nice to go to a city for a nice long weekend.
Yeah, and we started this habit probably in the very beginning when we first moved here because, as you may have learned from our live stream on Tuesday, we originally arrived with just a 6-month contract. So we thought that we had kind of a crash course period to see as much of the EU as we could and do all of these short flights from Copenhagen into other cities in Europe. And we did do that at first, but it kind of is also a trend and a bad habit that we kept going from the US because people just don't have the vacation time that they do in Denmark and other European countries. So they are used to doing these little weekend trips and going somewhere, landing on a Friday night and flying home on Sunday, which isn't really a good way to travel, but it's kind of the only way that a lot of Americans really get to enjoy their leisure time off.
Yeah, but we're slowly adapting to this. We can say this past summer when we took our 3-week holiday, which is still an amazing thing for my American mind to hear, we did an awesome road trip through Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and even little Liechtenstein. And it was an awesome way for us to see parts of Europe that we never would have otherwise and really have a relaxing trip. You guys are totally right. A nice 3-week holiday is perfect to cleanse the mind.
And the next thing that we do that is very American, and we actually didn't even realize it, is that we use our fork as a knife. And it's something that we've just been doing since we were toddlers and taught how to eat food. And I guess when you think about it, it kind of combines two of the most frequently told stereotypes about Americans, which is that all they do is eat. They eat a lot and that they're pretty lazy. So I guess maybe that's why we eat with our fork being used as both a fork and a knife. But it's something we do.
I mean, in truth, there's a reason why we do it. I mean, because we have our forks in the right hand, it means normally when we have to cut things, like if we're having a steak, we have to switch our hands anyways to put the knife in our right hand if we're right-handed to do it. So again, like Derek said, we're lazy. Rather than have to switch hands when you're eating soft food like chicken or pasta or something like that, just turn your fork on its side and slice it through.
I still think that might be a polite excuse. I don't know why we do it.
I don't know why we do it.
We just do it. And you guys actually drew this to our attention after we had skits in another video where we were eating and pointed out that we had the fork in the wrong hand. And then we started kind of analyzing, and some other people told us, you guys use your fork as a knife. And well,
this is a ridiculous one, but it's true.
Yeah, so thanks for the help with that, community. We love you guys.
So another subtle but real thing that we still do as Americans that the rest of you guys don't here in Europe is call the last letter of the English alphabet Z instead of Z. I don't know why we do this, but when we do the alphabet, it ends with X, Y, Z, not Z.
Yeah, and it's something that you don't say the letter that often, so it took us a little bit to pick up on this one. So yeah, no real idea or reason why we do this. We just do, and I think we're pretty much the only English-speaking country in the world where you say Z instead of Z. But I don't know. Does anybody want to let Beyonce know that she's married to Jay-Z? And another super American thing that we do is we still struggle with grasping the metric system. Now, it has gotten better and we've definitely moved along, but it's still hard for us to think in metric even after 4 years. Just because for basically the majority of our life, we've grown up with all kinds of measurements being in the English system, and now we have to think about them in metric. So it's funny, we'll go to the gym and think that we're really fast because the treadmill is in kilometers instead of in miles per hour. And we'll also think that we're really weak because we'll go to pick up 20 kilos thinking that it's 20 pounds, which is actually much heavier. And then it ends up being something that we've kind of gotten used to, but we're still not spot on with our measurements.
What's funny is, so in university, I studied to be an engineer. So I used metric system all the time in my studies, even working in chemical plants. I used metric as well. But I don't think in terms of metric. Like if I want to go buy meat in the store, it's hard for me to think what's the difference between a quarter pounder and something grams. Or we're talking distances, what's miles versus meters. And it's a different thing for us when we grew up. And I think I'm slowly adjusting to using Celsius instead of Fahrenheit. I have an idea that 20 is a rarely nice day this time of year in Denmark.
Yeah, but sometimes we still hear that and we think that we need to grab a scarf. But it's also Denmark, so you never know either way.
Yeah, you probably need a scarf no matter what. So we're covered both ways.
Yeah. And one last American thing that we do is drink Budweiser. Actually, not all the time, but we thought it would be appropriate for today. Now, I think it's actually a Czech beer now, but Budweiser and what we would call Bud Heavy, this beer, is pretty American, so we figured we'd end with it today. Now, make sure you give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to our channel so you can get all of our content, and hit the bell to be notified whenever we go live or drop a new video on Thursdays.
Skål.
Skål. What the fork? Are you using your fork as a knife? I don't know.